Welcome to another episode of Alumni's Den. So good to have you. I have a very, very, very special guest inside the den today. I'm feeling excited. You have a good energy.
Oh, thank you.
Yashvi, welcome. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. So good to have you. Normally, we'd have professionals here who have taught us, but you were a student who was taught by them. You were telling me that some of them were features were some of your favorite professionals or teachers as well.
Yes.
How do you like feel watching them?
It was interesting because I get to see them in a different light because it's always in a teaching environment, but they're also like mentors, people that I look up to that I want to be like. There's different parts of them that I've like taken away from myself and like absorbed, and I want to be able to apply like
Yeah.
those lessons that they taught me in the future. So
You're a professional as well, but you're here as an alumni you're representing Carleton University as well as.
Algonquin.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
How was that though? Before we get into your background a little bit to find out, tell us how was that like studying at Carleton and Algonquin? You were doing that at the same time.
Yes. So I would say most people know like the nursing program that Ottawa U has, where they'll do more practical stuff at Algonquin and then all like the theoretical stuff, I would believe, at Ottawa U. So it's the same thing for me. I did the information resource management program from Carleton. So I got my BIT from there. And then from Algonquin, I did more library sciences stuff, which is like the library and information technician diploma.
Right.
So it was the best of both worlds. I was definitely better at like programming and communications and like all like that stuff from Carleton. And then when I did like cataloging and like library sciences things, it was really interesting. I just didn't think I was that good at it, but like I loved it.
Yeah.
And for a while I wanted to see if I could, like become a librarian or something. And then my path changed a bit and I started working, and then started doing the project management
Okay.
course at Algonquin again. It's been, yeah, it's like uh, it was really hectic because I would have classes at Algonquin and 20 minutes later at Carleton, so I'd have to bus from one campus to the
Wow.
other. Like I know they tried to make it work out so that we wouldn't have to do that, but sometimes we all were in the same class, so we were all late at the same
Okay.
time for
Yeah.
the same classes every time. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Tell us, for persons who don't know you, um, tell us where you're from, your upbringing, what was life like growing up?
Yeah, I was born in India. I'm Gujarati.
Hmm.
Um, and then when I was like a toddler, we moved to New Zealand. And then in 2005, we moved to Canada, Toronto. We were there for like a year or two, and then Ottawa. So I would say Ottawa is definitely my home. I've made a lot of my friends here. Like I feel like, when you're out traveling, you're like, oh, I wish I was back home. Like it's here, because it's been a while. Um,
But what was that experience like from India to New Zealand to
yeah,
Toronto and now
yeah.
Ottawa? What was that like?
So I don't remember much like of India. I can see photographs of myself and stuff, but I was like a baby, so I don't remember much of it. New Zealand, I have a few more memories because I was older. I actually remember I was maybe the only Indian kid there at my like little like preschool, elementary school.
What was
Um,
that like?
I don't know, like for a while I never really processed it. It was when I got older that I was like, oh, like I was definitely different from everybody else.
Yeah.
Um
Were you treated differently?
I wouldn't actually say when I was that young. I feel like it's when you get into middle school, high school especially, because when you're young, like kids don't really care. They just want to play. Like they don't see that difference in skin color or like ethnicity or background or whatever food you eat. But anyways, yeah, when I moved here to Barhaven when I was going to my high school, I did get like kids are a bit immature regardless of their age, but I did get called like certain, I'm not gonna say slurs, but certain not very lovely things,
Mm,
that you wouldn't expect to hear because you're like, it was out of nowhere.
right.
Um, but anyways, you get older, you mature and then start working. And then I feel like certain places that I've worked at, rather than the very straightforward like name calling, it's like microaggressions or like um I brought this like fried rice to like a work potluck one time,
Hmm.
and my one of my coworkers, she's like pinched her nose at like the smell of it.
Mm.
She was like, "Oh, I'm not eating that."
What?
I was like, "Oh my god!" And I made it super mild, Indian like fried rice. Like
Right.
anybody could have eaten it, but I was like,
Hmm.
you know what? It's
Not
okay.
not too much spice.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
I made it very mild because I know what my coworkers like, you know. But then I had another coworker who, well, she was also ethnic, so she was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the rest home with me. It was really good. So I was like, yeah, that made me happy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much as you have those not good experiences with people, there's always others who are like willing to, you know, take you under their wing and like let you know that like you're welcome there. So
Yeah.
it balances out.
How did that shape the way you kind of, approach people and integrate as you grew? Um, how?
I feel like I was a very negative person as a teenager. I was very pessimistic. I was like, nothing's gonna work out for me. Like, I just don't have the personality for it. I was also very introverted. I had very terrible social anxiety. Like, the most basic, uncomfortable social situations, I would go to the bathroom and like cry because I'm like, oh, like I'm doing terribly. Everybody like hates me. I was overthinking it, but
Mhm.
like now I've gained a lot of confidence by just living, by just getting older, by luckily meeting people that I know cared about me and my well being and my progress. So I try now not to let negative things impact me or the way that I treat others, because, like, those people who have been kind to me, I want to do the same for other
Mm.
people. So, yeah.
I can just imagine how many persons who have experienced that, and it's how you interpret it, because that's beautiful that you're able to have that experience, but it doesn't define who you are and how you treat others as well. So that's really great. When did when did you feel like, okay, what changed from being a pessimist to being an optimist and being this confident? What
Yeah.
changed? I know you said growing up, but what in particular changed?
Yeah. I feel like, and you know, not a lot of people do have this, but a good support system.
Mm.
And you just kind of get lucky sometimes. Like my mom, I love her to pieces. She's like my favorite person on this planet. Like I look up to her.
Dad is not listening.
I love my dad too, but my if I'm ever like talking bad about myself, I'm like, oh, like I'm so dumb. I can't do this. Like it's impossible. My mom is like, no, like you just need to try. I know you're smart. Like you're beautiful. Like you can do this. I believe in you. And like if you have, what was that? I think it was like Lady Gaga. She was like, if there's just one person that believes in me, then like I can do it type thing. And like it's so true because yeah, like my mom is my cheerleader, and you know I have my best friend also, like we went to high school together. um she's a really amazing person. Whenever I'm being negative, she'll be like, she immediately turns that around. She's like, you're not allowed to think that way about yourself. So again, like yeah, when you have these like really positive like loving people in your life, like you want to be able to do the same for others. But again, like I just got really lucky. I would think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of studying at Carleton, I'm not saying you should choose um, and Algonquin College. What would you say? Which experience, like, how do you differentiate the experiences that you've had, and how did that help you to basically become the professional that you are today?
Yeah, I would say my experiences at Algonquin, because I did two programs technically, and they were different both times.
Mhm.
Um, my first time at Algonquin, it was mostly, I think, individuals that were either born here or brought up here. And so their perspectives on things were different than when I took the program a second time for project management, where everybody was from somewhere else across the
The
globe.
globe, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And so they had a lot more different experiences to share.
Mm.
And that was really interesting. And sometimes we didn't get along, and sometimes there was culture differences.
Hmm.
But I feel like I was frustrated in the moment because like we had like so much miscommunication, but I feel like now, like I definitely, I like introspected. I'm like, you know what? There's some things that I could have communicated differently or better, or like try to be more understanding about things. Um, so that was good. Like I actually learned a lot from this program in terms
Yeah.
of who I am as a person,
Yeah.
and again, like how I should treat others as well. Carleton was it. I don't know how to explain it. It was because the classes were bigger.
Hmm.
You see so many people, and even at Algonquin you do, but it was like you feel more distant from your mentors and your peers. It was like I made like a handful of friends at Carleton, and then in project management I made like a dozen more, and it's because you're kind of forced to do that, but it works out
Yeah.
because like I still keep in contact with a couple of them as well, and like see how they're doing. And
You guys created group chats as well?
yeah. We had a couple of things that we want to work on together, and while we are all busy now, like we talk once in a while, so it's nice. Yeah.
It's really interesting when you, especially when you're placed in like first semester. When I studied project management, the first semester is like they pushed you into a group. The second semester you get to choose, but the first semester is like they just pushed you. And then you're working with people from Egypt, from Burundi, from Jamaica, from like India, and it's like then how do we communicate? It's very interesting, and I think it excuse me, I think it works in our favor because then initially, as you have said, there's a lot of like miscommunication. You say something and someone misinterpret it, and you're like, no, that's not what I meant. Especially international project management, that course was just phenomenal because it gets into the nitty gritty of the culture. Because like Jamaicans, I'm Jamaican, right? So Jamaicans are very direct, and I realized like Indians are the opposite. So it's like I'll tell you if I'm not feeling good about something or if I disagree, I'm going to tell you up front, right?
Yeah.
And I would want the same for you. And sometimes it doesn't work out like that. So it's really, really an interesting program. And then that prepares you for the real world and how to approach it. So you studied there and project management, and then you graduated. I want you to share some of your experience. Like, did you leave high school and then started working, or you just kept studying? What was that like?
Yeah, so no, I did keep studying. I had no idea what I wanted to study. That was the first issue because I was like, I don't know what I like. Like when I was younger, I was like, oh, an astronaut, doctor, anything, like whatever's fun. And then it came to the time where I had to submit my applications for university, and I was like, I think I'm good at math. I'm interested in programming. Okay, like let's go for like computer science, computer engineering. I did the
Mhm.
same program in like multiple schools, and I was like, whichever one like reaches out first, I'll go there. And it was Carleton, so I was like, okay, like computer science at Carleton. um, which is it sounds like I feel like I should have a direction, but it's really hard to have one sometimes unless you like. I don't know. I've known this one person. She wanted to be like a veterinarian when she was younger, but now she's doing something totally different, the opposite direction. And I was like, you know, like good for her. Like it's awesome. Like because she's found her niche and what she likes. I still think I have to find mine. And I know I'm doing a lot of exploration.
Mhm.
Because I did comp sci only for a year. And then I switched programs into my IT program, which was like another like 4 or 5 years. And I felt like I was like, I didn't know if I should have switched programs because I felt like a waste of time, and like I'm behind my peers and I should be doing more with my time, and like I should already be like I don't know the CEO of a company. It's impossible. No, it is, but
Mhm.
maybe for me it just wasn't like I just couldn't find that path yet.
Mhm.
Um,
No, what was the influence like from your parents in terms of this? Angela would say meandering path.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
like it's difficult because my parents try to be really supportive when they can and guide me in the right direction. But they always tell me at the end of the day, it's up to me to know what I want and to go for it, because only I can give myself what I want, right? I can't always have someone like holding my hand and pulling me along, even though sometimes I'm kind of used to that since I was younger, because I'm always like looking to them to be like, okay, like what do I do next? You tell me, I'll just do that. But I feel like making mistakes is how you learn. I've made so many mistakes, but some of them were good ones that I learned from and helped me grow as a person and meet new people and even develop my own skills that I didn't know I had. So, yeah.
So, do you think that maybe you said you were following your peers, not having like a vision of okay where you want to go directly or exactly? Do you think that causes the kind of meandering kind of thing?
Definitely. I feel like if you know where you want to be, you'll create a path for yourself and reach there. And half the time with someone who reaches there on an accident, or they're like, you know what, they just end up there, and you're like, I enjoy doing this, but it takes them a long time together. And I feel like maybe that will be me, but I think that's okay because I'm still trying to find out or figure out who I am as a person. Um, and I'm always changing. Like I'm different from who I was before this program last year. Before I started working when I was in high school, I've come a long way, and I feel like I try to give myself a pat on the back for that because I've definitely bettered myself.
Yeah,
So
share with us some of your working experiences.
yeah. So right after I graduated from that BIT program from Carleton in 2017, sorry, that's when I finished high school. In 2022, February, I started working at EDC, and they gave me this new grad job. And it was really interesting because, again, it kind of was how my life was going. So I switched teams 3 times because there was a company reorg, and I wore a lot of different hats. And I was like a information analyst, data analyst, scrum master. It was like, okay, like these are all interesting things that I actually enjoy.
Mhm.
So again, it made the decision of what I wanted to do even more difficult.
Right.
But again, I met a lot of very smart, caring mentors who then I went from my junior associate job to after doing some networking, which is really hard for me because I'm introverted, but I tried my best. Anyways,
You're introverted.
yeah, I know. I feel like again, that's the thing. Maybe it might not seem that way right now, but by nature, I'm so introverted.
Yeah.
But I've come a long way from where I was before. Like it was even worse. I probably couldn't have a conversation with you right now.
Yeah.
But I landed my big girl job where I was like, I'm making good money. It's at a good company. I feel like the position itself is good. There's a lot of room for me to grow, and I can only go up from here. But I worked there for a couple of months. I went on a trip with my friends, and when I came back from my trip, I was checking my work phone, and there was like a meeting invite. It was like confidential. I was like, okay. I logged into work the next day, and it was a lady from HR, and she was basically saying, she's like, I'm very sorry we have to do this, but the company is letting go of like a lot of
Whoa.
people, like budget issues and everything. And I was like,
After your trip, can
I
you imagine?
I know. I had so much fun, and I was like,
So pumped up to come back and
I
work.
was, I was, yeah, I was telling my friend on the train ride back, I was like, what? I really like my job. I can't wait to, like, I really want to prove myself to the people that I work with and make sure that I'm indispensable. But when I came back, and I guess it was like just before my my 3 months was like over.
Right.
So all the new contracts that this company had taken in, plus people who were about to retire, it was 100 people company wide that were let go. I was so sad. I I was trying not to cry in front of the HR lady, but the tears were just coming down my
Mhm.
face, and I was like, and my dad was in the other room, and I went to him and I cried to him, and I was like, oh, I got laid off. Like I don't know what to do. I was really sad that day because I felt like things were downhill for me in high school, maybe the beginning of university, because I was very burnt out. I felt like I had no inspiration, I didn't know what to do or how to do it. But slowly, my mental health got better and better. And then again, I feel like I was about to, reach my peak,
Mm.
and then it came crashing down again when I had that video call with her. Um, I was very sad, but
How did you respond to it?
yeah. Well, I sent out talked to my dad. He was like, like you have to like, take your time, like relax a bit. It's hard to go through this, and then when you feel ready, start looking for work again. Right? You can't give up. Like this is not the end of things for you. It's just a start. And I was like, okay. So I took a couple of days, and then I started applying for jobs. I did a lot of applications. A couple of weeks went by, and I was like, hey, it's just not working out for me. I don't know what's wrong. Like nobody's reaching out for interviews or anything, and it was like the worst feeling ever. And then I talked to my best friend, and she was in the same boat as well. Like finding work was so hard then, and it's even hard now too, like really hard. Um, but we decided that we would take the project management course because
Mhm.
we were like, you know what? We'll learn some new skills. We'll do a lot of networking. And there's even like the co op thing. So hopefully we do well enough. So we'll get some more work experience and see how that goes. And my friend, she did really well. Well, oh my God, my throat. She did really well at her co op. And so she's still working there full time right now. So I'm
Mhm.
very proud of her. But yeah, so again, like I got to do this experience for project management, and now I'm trying to work towards my CAPM. I
Mhm.
don't have enough experience for the PMP yet, but one day I will. But right now I'm doing baby steps, so I'm doing that. I'm still doing job applications because I did graduate again recently from this program. And yeah, so
You know, I was walking today. Um, it's not so cold, so I can do some walking. I normally do the running. And I was ruminating, and I was saying to myself, many times we try so hard to get a job, and we send out a mass amount of applications, and we network, and we try our best to connect, and it seemed impossible. And I said to myself, what can we do to make ourselves so valuable that persons will reach out to us once we're on display? And I think if, and for persons who are watching, I think if we work hard on ourselves, where we develop our skills, as you have said that you're doing, and I mean, you're in Ottawa, so if we need to learn en français, we learn it, and we be the best version of ourselves, so that whenever we're seen or there's an interview, they realize that this is the person I'm looking for. The buck stops with me. And I think if we start to invest more in ourselves, and because it's so, as you said, difficult when we try to reach out, and we end up sometimes burnout because we're connecting, we're doing this, we're going to the job fairs, and then we stretch ourselves thin and still no job. All right.
yeah.
But the more we work on ourselves, the more we work on our soft skills, our hard skills, is the more valuable we become. And once we apply for the job, we're able to say, okay, French, tick, this, tick, this, tick, and then we'll be able to stand a better chance. And I just want to encourage for persons who are watching. Sometimes it's discouraging when you're searching for a job, when you're connecting, and even when you know persons who are at the highest level sometimes at a company, and it seems as if, okay, I'm connected to this person, but still there's no opening. Just invest in yourselves. Invest in yourself, pay the price. If you have to learn to speak the English language more fluently, learn the French language, add some hard skills, learn some technology. AI now is booming. Do it. And trust me, it will work out. Because I'm there as well, where I did my co-op. So after I finished, I secured a co-op, and I was very excited. And when I started working there, it was like for 4 months. So I'm like, okay, the same thing. I need to prove myself, right? Working, and they extended the contract, and I was like, whoa, wow.
Yeah.
And working, and then after that, they're like, okay, they're not seeing any possibility of me continuing, and I started feeling like melancholy, sad, and then like my work, like energy and all of that, it just went down. And then I'm like, I shouldn't allow that to lower my energy. I should just keep working hard
Mhm.
to the end of the contract, because it will show your consistency,
Yeah.
no matter if they're keeping you or not. And I started building up. And what happened after that? They extended the
Mhm.
contract again. And I was excited. I thought, okay, I'm in now for, call it 8 months or so. I think this looks like a full permanent position coming, but that wasn't the case.
Mm.
My contract ended, and so now I'm looking for opportunity. And when I reached out to you, you were saying that you're looking for opportunities as well, and I'm like, this is the reason for the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So we can connect persons who are looking for jobs, persons who are recent graduates, with the persons who are the executives at the company, the recruiters, the HR um, managers. They can look and see. Because sometimes when we have these conversations, persons get to see more of you, right?
Right.
When you do a short interview, that's like a front. They don't know who you are. They don't know that, okay, this person has experienced pressure. And that's why I like the stories of pressures, failures, when you wanted to give up. And I want you to share, if you have ever experienced that, where you feel like giving up, and you fought through it. I want you just to share with us, if you had any of
Yeah.
those experiences.
Definitely had those experiences. I feel like you just can't get through life without them. And even right now, I feel like I'm going through that. I've had, um, and with regards to my physical health, it has impacted my mental health a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so while I was working during my co-op, I went home that night after work, and for some reason I woke up. It was like, I don't know, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. or something, and I couldn't breathe, and like I was like gasping for air. I sat, on the floor, and I was like, okay, I still can't breathe, and I went to my parents' room. I turned on their light, and I was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I I realize now it was a very bad panic attack, but it happened when I was sleeping. I was sitting on the couch downstairs. My mom was like, "Do you need me to drive you to the hospital?" And I was like, "I think yeah, because I don't know. Like I have to." It was weird. I had to like manually tell myself breathe in and breathe out. So we were driving, and then I told her, I was like, "You know what? I can't do this. Like I feel like I'm gonna pass out in the car." We drove back home. I was waiting on the couch. We called the ambulance. They came. They monitored my blood pressure, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they do, it's their magic. And they're like, "You're okay." And I was like, "I don't feel okay." My teeth were chattering. I was shivering. My leg was shaking. I was crying. I was like, "I can't breathe." They're like, "It's up to you. Do you want to go to the hospital? We'll take you." And I was like, "Yeah, I think I need to go." So they put me on the stretcher. They put me in the ambulance. They brought me there. I was laying in bed in like my cot at the hospital once they brought me, and my mom was driving behind the ambulance. She was sitting there, and I was laying up at the ceiling, and I was like, did I do this for attention? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm fine. Like, the paramedics said I was fine. And then a couple hours later, they took a lot of blood, did some blood tests. They did like an MRI or something. They scanned my chest because I said I was having my heart felt like it was beating weird. And it was weird, but it wasn't impacting me really in any way. It was just the rhythm was odd. But anyways, they're like, they sat me out the chair outside. They're like, we're going to take a little bit more blood and then you're good to go. You're fine. And I was like, okay. So they started taking blood and my vision went black and I was about to pass out. But I was also, this is going to get a little bit graphic. I was like, I was throwing up at the same time and I was like, yeah, like, I don't know. I was like crying.
You've done a lot of crying.
I've done so much crying. Yeah, I have so many bad eye bags because of that. I'm like, I cry a lot when I'm sad, when I'm angry. I don't even get angry, I just get sad. So, anyways, I was like, again, they like put me on the stretcher, they monitored my heart because I was throwing up a lot. And I was like, okay, this means I wasn't pretending. This means I wasn't doing it for attention. But the thing is, I don't know now in retrospect, I'm like, why did I have to go through something that terrible for me to think that I'm allowed to feel bad sometimes. I'm allowed to get sick. And like, again, recently, a couple of weeks ago, I had uveitis in this eye. I still do have it, but it's basically like, I thought it was just red eye. I was rubbing it. It got so bad to the point I couldn't see through this eye. I was blind, basically. And it was so scary. I was crying in bed, and I was like, I need to take my health and my mental more seriously. I went to the hospital again. They gave me antibiotic, eye drops, and everything. It's been a couple of weeks. It's still healing. And so now, oh my gosh, this has taught me to take myself seriously, to take care of myself. Because it's good, to push yourself, but then once you realize that you're at your limit, don't avoid those signs, right? Because like you can't do anything if you've lost the ability to like see, or you can't get out of bed. Like, again, so I think physical health is really important.
So what are some of the things that you do now to keep yourself healthy and to create that balance? What are some of your practices?
I take my vitamins every day. I do stretches in the morning. I take my time getting out of bed. When my alarm rings, I used to just wake up in a jolt and I would just scramble out of bed, shower, go. Now I stretch, I wake up, I sit up, I breathe a bit, I relax in the morning. And even if I have to wake up a couple minutes earlier, I just do that because it makes it so worth it. I allow myself to enjoy things, maybe a little bit more than I should. I hang out with my friends. I go get coffee. I used to not eat like as much before, especially during school and stuff. I don't know. I have like one meal a day.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't feel hungry, but now I eat properly. I make sure I have all my nutrients. When I have a snack, I'll always have like, baby carrots or something, and even a treat. I don't say no to cake, like it's good to have that. But yeah, definitely I watch what I eat. I always I hug people too. It's really good for it's like, it's so comforting. And I think you need 12 hugs a day to feel happy. So that's, it's part of your physical health too, I would think. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm laughing like that because I'm a hugger myself. So
Yeah.
when I just started school here, as Jamaicans are very warm and friendly. So I'm like when I meet my classmates and stuff like that, I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm hugging. And there was this lady, I think she was Muslim. And I was going over to her and I was like, hey, how are you? She was like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
But I find it that it's very as you say, comforting. It's warm, and especially when someone has good energy, it does help. Do you have like a spiritual balance or anything like that? What that you do
Um,
or no?
so so I'm Gujarati, and my parents are Hindu and I'm Hindu.
Mm-hmm.
So like on Saturdays I'll do like prayers with my dad, and then we'll have like like the incense sticks, and you
Okay.
like waft them around the house, and they
Mm-hmm.
smell so nice afterwards. And I just sit on my bed and I can like smell like the fragrance. It's like, yeah, like little things like that
Mm-hmm.
are like very peaceful. Um, my dad also taught me these like breathing exercises, like breathing in through one nostril and out the other, and
Oh,
doing
how do
yeah.
you, oh, like you
So
have
you
to
like
close?
you like hold this
Oh, okay.
down, you breathe in,
And then,
you let go, you do
okay,
something again, in and out like that.
okay.
Um, it like helps me when I feel stress or when I feel my heart like acting up again, when I feel it like shaking.
Do you have like a chill spot where you go?
A chill spot. Yeah. So I
I'm
like.
not saying to give it away.
I know I'm gatekeeping it, but I really like go. I have a book in my bag with me right now too. I was gonna go to a cafe after this, just read a bit. But yeah, I always find like cafes that I like. I get myself a little chai latte. I read for an hour or two. I try to do that every day. I read every day. If it's just like a storybook or I don't know, mostly only storybooks. Like, um, yeah, I feel like it's nice. It like slows your day down and you get to breathe and relax, and then you can continue doing what you were doing.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a reader myself, but I read like motivational
Yeah.
books and such. How important is like networking for you? I know oftentimes, especially at Algonquin College when we're studying, they really push this networking. And I realize it's important, but how I go about it is it's very different because I don't just connect with everybody.
Yeah.
Th- There has to be this chemistry for me. I don't know if it's gonna beat me bad, but there has to be chemistry, and I love authenticity as well
Yeah.
because persons will be like, "Hey," and really they're not genuine about the connection. And some persons are they're there for reciprocity, or sometimes the relationship is it's like they want to benefit, but it's not commensal, right?
Right.
So it's like, mm, so how is networking for you? How do you network, and how important is it?
Yeah. I would say it's so important. Like it's critical to your career, no matter I think whichever field you work in, whether it's like medicine, because if you want to get into med school, like it's good to have references for that too. In project management, it's really important. Um, but in terms of again, like I mentioned, I'm really introverted. I'm not by nature good at this. When I'm at work, I turn on a switch and then
Do you believe that?
I
I
know.
think they're looking at you like,
Oh my gosh.
we don't-"
Like when I'm in a work scenario, then I can communicate with my supervisor or my peers. I feel like I'm different when I'm at home. I shut everything off and I'm just like, okay, my battery needs to recharge. Socially, if it's one on one, I'm like, yeah, we have to do this like back and forth. If it's three people, I will let the other two do the talking and I'll listen. So when it's like networking, I have tried to go to like job fairs and stuff. I feel like because then they're obviously open to recruiting and you get the information from them. But when it's like peers and stuff, or even like old coworkers or supervisors, I need to do better at this. I know I do. Where it's like I have to keep in touch with them constantly. I talk to them once every couple of months. It's like hard, especially if we haven't actually spoken in like 5, 6 years. And then it's like you feel like you've lost that connection and you're like, I feel guilty even, you know, asking if they have anything open or like trying to reignite that
Mhm,
connection when you're
mhm.
not consistent with it like you should be.
Yep.
I need to improve on that. I feel so bad. I'm like, ugh.
Like, like they look like, I got a notification. Who is this? Let me see. Yashvi? Who is this
Who's
again?
that? Yeah, exactly. But I've tried, like, for my old jobs when I was doing co-op for when I was in uni. I haven't kept those connections that well, but I've tried to, in my more recent work terms, I've tried to keep in touch with people. But again, it's hard because I'm like, what do I talk about when I reach out to them just to keep in touch?
Mhm.
Do I just say, "How are you? How are things going?" And then where does the conversation go from there? Like I get nervous about it. Like I don't want people to think that I'm always asking for something. But it's I think it's easier if it's peers, like people who have gone through the same experiences as you, are kind of not on the same level, but like, you know, students that you've been in school with, or old coworkers who are around the same age. I feel like it's easier to just ignite that conversation out of nowhere.
Mhm.
I feel like there's definitely, aside from just where you live on this planet, it's also a culture difference depending on age as well. But then again, like the professors that I've had in this program are so fun and like really funny, and I've enjoyed all those classes, even though maybe I didn't do good in all of them. But I at least paid attention during those classes, and like I'd participate and do those activities, and like yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Uh, so we talk about connecting, we talk about networking, we talk about you reading books. Where you are right now, would you say this is, or the path that you're on right now, would you say this is the path, or you're still trying to figure it out? Like, what's your ultimate goal?
So this is my path. It's on my path on the way to somewhere. I don't know where somewhere is yet. I don't know if I want to be an entrepreneur, if I want to switch fields completely, if I want to just go into science or like medicine. But right now, I feel like I'm doing good. I feel like I'm making connections along the way.
What was that?
I'm not sure. I thought I imagined it.
I heard it too.
Yeah. I think I lost my train of thought.
So you're
Yeah.
on the path, and it seems like things are connecting.
Yeah. So I don't know where I want to be, but I'm gaining a lot of new skills, and at least I know where I want to be in the near future. Maybe not the next 10 years, but the next 2 years. I know I want to do something like product management or project management related, maybe more in the IT field because that's where I've had the most experience in. But I'm still open to. I did my last co-op in a construction like environment,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
What was that like?
Oh my gosh. I've never seen anything like it before. In class, I just assumed, like, okay, construction means like traditional, like, you know, step A to Z, pretty simple. With this project, because it was working on like the center block project for Parliament,
Mhm.
it was like every day was something new. I would see like people from the construction team, us, the client, and then the design team would have like our weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings.
Right.
So much arguing all the time, but
Hmm.
it's because they wanted to get stuff done.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, oh, I know that you can't physically construct it this way or design it this way, because if you design it like this, I can't actually build it this way. And it was like, oh, you know, like I need to pay the people that have been working for the past month, like you still owe me this much, like, you know, like you have to like manage your budget properly. And it was very straightforward,
Yeah. Yeah.
to the point that I was like, if I was my project managers, they handle it so calmly. They're like, yeah, I'll get it done. Don't worry.
Right.
But I was like, I would cry. I cried everything. So like, when I get to that level, then I'll know, when I can calmly handle a situation like that, then I'll know like, okay, I'm where I need to be, you know? But
Yeah.
I need to develop my people skills a bit more. But that's one thing actually that my supervisor from my co-op said, was that my communication skills and my people skills are very good. And I feel like get that compliment a lot. And I feel like that might actually be perfect for project management. I just need to perfect it a little bit more and
Yeah.
find what my niche is and like hopefully apply it in my next job.
Yeah. That's great. I think I don't want to say the wrong percentage, but I think it was, if it's not 95, probably 85% of the project management or the project manager's role is to communicate.
Mhm.
So if you have that, the rest of stuff they can develop later on. So I think you're on the right path if that's the case.
Mm.
Um, uh, have you seen where the lessons you have learned in school? Have you seen it being applicable within the working world?
Yeah, especially because, first semester
Mm.
was crazy. Um, I I kind of wanted to be like the not the project the group leader because you have a group leader. I didn't know we were supposed to switch it every single project. So I was a group leader for the entire semester,
Wow.
and I a lot of the times like crumbled under the pressure, and it would be like 5 a.m. and I'm like trying to type things, and I'm like, oh, I need to go to school in like 3 hours. Like, okay, um, yeah, it was like I feel like I burnt myself out, but I was also really proud of what I accomplished
Mm.
during that time. Um, but again, sorry, I got off track. I argued so much with my teammates
Mm.
over little things. And now I feel like I could have handled it differently and we would have. Again, I also feel like it's not just up to me. Just because I'm the so called group leader or whatever, I don't have to feel obliged to be the only one trying to reach out and communicate and understand others. I feel like it's always a two-way street, no matter what, if it's like with your family or friends or your partner or coworkers or other like students. I feel like I tried my best, but then again, there's always room for improvement, no matter what you do. So, yeah, like arguing with them made me realize. I talked to my mom about this. I was like, just can't stand it. Like, they just don't understand. Like, I'm frustrated. She was like, you have to be diplomatic. I was like, it's impossible. It's impossible to be. No, I'm being too harsh.
No, I understand it totally. It's
Yeah,
the same thing
yeah,
we
yeah,
went through. So,
yeah. And I mean, maybe they were watching this. I'm not saying it in like a bad way. I just, you know what, I should have been better. But I feel like again, two-way street. Those I see my project managers at work, like handling those moments of conflict way better than I did,
Mhm.
and I should have been more like that. But now I know. Like now I know that it's. I've always known this. It's always about the goal. You kind of wander when you get there, but as long as you complete the goal, that's what matters. But you shouldn't it shouldn't be at the cost of your mental health.
Mhm.
um, yeah,
I think all of us went through it, especially when we were leaders of a group and such. Um, uh, it's it's I said to a lot of my friends that Algonquin College prepares you for the working world because all the experiences that you have had there, it's tough. Like working in groups on different projects, it's tough, right? And if you can work through that, right? In retrospect, you should say, "Hey, yeah," because lessons learned.
yeah,
So you're like, "Okay, I could have done that better. Could have," but that's it. That's why you had that process
hmm
to have the experience. And then when you look back, if you look back and be like, "There's nothing that I could have done better," then maybe something is wrong. But
yeah,
there's always lessons learned there. So I think for me as well, like we had those group members who didn't show up to class, who didn't do their part. And if you're the leader of the group, it's like it's your responsibility to ensure that the work is done.
yeah,
So even though they didn't show up, that's where you come in and you're like, if you can have the support of the team,
yeah,
because I I try not to be a champion. I used to try to be a champion back in the past, but I
yeah.
don't try to be a champion again because it comes with a cost that
Definitely.
I'm not willing to pay
I
again.
know.
So I normally try to get the team on board and see. So if someone's part is missing, I'm
Mm,
not going to take it on by myself. I'm going to be like, hey, team, someone didn't do this. How can we work together to
yeah.
complete it? So there's always lessons learned when you look back in retrospect, but that's a good thing. And as I said, I love what Algonquin College does. It really helps to build you and your confidence. So that's good stuff that you share. You're
Yeah.
not alone, trust me.
Yeah.
All the alumni who are watching, they can attest to it, and
Yeah.
we feel it the most. Who we want to see, like we're winners. Basically, we want to see it become the best. We want to do our best. You have some persons who really don't care, right?
Yeah.
They just pass through the.
Exactly. And I know, like, when I've seen them do individual assignments, they do really good. I'm like, where? I need that energy when we do our group things as well. What happened? Like, a couple of like 2 3 months into the semester, we finally do a project, and I did something really immature. I'll admit it. I said, I was like, I'm stepping down from group leader. I can't do this anymore. You guys pick a new group leader. I feel burnt out. I'm tired. I can't. And they were like, oh, like, don't worry. We're all project managers here. And I was like, this, okay. But like, I saw a shift actually. Again, I feel like I still kind of still took on that leadership role, except it was not as overwhelming for me after I said I give up. Because I saw a side to my team members, a motivated side, their different skill sets that I didn't even know that they had. And I feel like maybe it's those times of like pressure where you feel like, okay, now I actually really need to perform. And maybe that was what our group needed. And every group is different. Like, I know my friends went through their own struggles. And even another one where from a third person's perspective, I was like, all 6 people in this group are perfect. They're all smart. They're all driven. They all want to get like their co-op. They all want a certain GPA. But even then, they didn't necessarily get the best grades on assignments. They didn't necessarily get along all the time either. They had their own arguments. And I was like, okay, like, it actually doesn't matter. Like, it just depends on the person, or it depends on you and how you decide to make the best of that situation.
So when you look at all of this, and we're wrapping up. When you look at all of this, excuse me, what would you say where you are now, right? Positioned towards your goals. Where would you say you are now, based on all the lessons you've learned?
Um,
And I mean mentally, physically, um, as it relates to your career, how focused, how confident, how competent, all of these
yeah.
things.
I definitely tend to question my competency when I don't have a job, or when I feel like I'm not getting people reaching out to me, or when I get laid off, right? And I'm like, I question myself. I'm like, what could I have done differently? But there isn't anything I could have done. They laid off 100 people during that time, and I just happened to be unlucky. And I feel like a lot of it is about luck. And now I'm slowly getting some interview invitations. I'm getting people reaching out to me, like recruiters and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, I just have to give it time. I just need to let it like trickle into my life again. And in the meanwhile, take care of my physical health, go for walks, and like hug my mom and eat healthy. And everything will turn out just fine.
Yeah, that's great. What are you looking forward to? It's 2025. We're in March. What are you looking forward to for this year?
This year, I want to travel a little bit. I want to definitely start working. I will start working. I'm manifesting that.
Please don't start working after 3 months of
Oh
your
no,
job.
so unlucky. I'm never doing that again. I'm waiting like a year. I can't make that mistake. Yeah.
We
So
don't want you to come back and
no, I
getting a
know.
message.
I have to do another program from Algonquin again and then restart the cycle. But yeah, traveling. I'm trying to do more baking nowadays.
Where do you travel to when you travel?
It's been a while. Last time I went, out of the country was I went to LA with my friends.
That's
We
cool.
we went to Anime Expo.
Cool.
So yeah, we were like nerding out a little bit. So that I want something different. Maybe like I don't know, like Copenhagen or like Japan or something. Well, we'll see.
That's where you want to go?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
just to see, just
Cool.
for the experience. I'm doing more baking, so I made some tiramisu last week.
What's that?
Tiramisu, like a cake.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do some more baking
Okay.
now. Yeah,
Do you bake plain cake?
plain cake. Yeah, I'm trying simple recipes like scones and like tiramisu and like I don't know, even like pudding. We'll see.
Okay. Awesome. So if persons want to reach out to you, how do they do that? Tell us, where can they find you?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn at Yashvi Jani, and I have Instagram too, but I feel like LinkedIn's better.
Okay.
So yeah, LinkedIn's the best way to connect with me. And then if we hit it off, I'm so down to chat and talk about stuff. Yeah,
Is there a mantra that you live by, or
mantra that I
a
live by.
saying, or
Mm,
a quote, or
quote. Well, there was this one that my grandpa told my dad, and my dad told me, and I feel like it's good for just general life stuff. It's like early to bed, early to rise makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise. It like rhymes a
nice?
bit. I don't always wake up early, but at least I try to stay healthy. I try to wake up at a peaceful time for myself. And I feel like that way I'm really taking care of me.
Do you always reach for the phone when you wake up? Are you one of those persons, or you take some time
Oh,
before you?
yo, yeah, I actually put my phone on my desk, far away from me, so it's not like on the bedside table or under my pillow. I just keep it away,
Hmm.
and then when the alarm rings, I go up, I turn it off, and I lay back down for 5 minutes. I just sit. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get up now, and yeah.
That's great. I think it was Ariana Huffington who stated that, like, put away your phone when you're going to your bed, and take that time to relax before bed. And then when you wake up, have that time where you express gratitude
Yeah.
before you reach for the world, and saturate yourself with that. So that's great to know that you do that.
Yeah.
Any shout out to anyone before
Shout
we
out to my
go?
mom, to my best friend, and even to my group first semester, second semester.
Hmm.
I learned a lot from all of you. To my professors who have encouraged me, and I've learned a lot from them. And I will take away the lessons that they've taught me. To my dad, of course, I just said my mom first. My dad, to my aunt, my little brother who's working his bum off for his own program that he's in right now. My friends, yeah, I love you guys.
Thank you. That's great. There you have it. Yashvi, thank you so very much for stopping by. It was really a pleasure and a breath of fresh air talking to you. And we wish you all the best in everything that you do.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Awesome. Thank you for watching another episode of Alumni's Den. My name is Darren. Remember, anything and everything that you do, do it with clean hands and a pure heart. Bye bye.